Always good to be here, like you always know, with my reliable friends. And tonight is actually the yahrzeit of Reb Levi, the Rebbe's father, Levi Schneerson, who was the rabbi of Dnipropetrovsk. Back then it's called Yekaterinoslav. So tonight's a very special night for bringing to give charity in honor of the Rebbe's father, of Levi. But this week is Akev, and we're learning a lot of, Moshe Rabbeinu is really rebuking the Jewish people before they go into Israel, because Moshe Rabbeinu knows, I'm not going to Israel with you, and therefore I'm really worried about you guys, that you're going to fall into so many traps there, there's so many pitfalls you could fall into, and I don't want you to mess up. You messed up so many times in the Midbar, and I was there with you. I'm not going to be with you in Israel. I really don't want you to mess up again. And he knew they were going to mess up, but still he really wants to give them all, everything that he has. So he tells them today that you guys are going to go into a big Midbar. You know, that God took you through a big Midbar. You guys were a whole nation of people. And he took you, entire nation, through a Midbar. Now, Midbar is not a place where you want to have to feed. You wouldn't even want to feed your family in a Midbar. You don't want to have to take a road trip through a Midbar with yourself and have to worry about food and sustenance. It's not an easy place to get by. Yet, I took you through an entire Midbar. God took an entire nation of 2 million people through a Midbar. And he describes the Midbar. He says the Midbar is a place where it's big. Midbars are huge. It's not just big, it says it's awesome, awesomely big. Then it says that there are snakes and serpents and scorpions. And there's a thirst. In the Midbar, people get very thirsty and there's no water. So why is the Torah giving us a description of a Midbar? We all know what a Midbar is. I know all this stuff. Why does the Torah tell us about the Midbar? Because these are all lessons in life. That just like the Jews went through the Midbar then, we're going with our own Midbar today. And the same way the Midbar then was big and awesome and snakes, scorpions, and serpents, and no water. Today also we have the same symptoms. We are experiencing the same Midbar symptoms in this Midbar today. In the same way they had to travel through that Midbar to get to Israel, we got to travel through this Midbar to get to our Israel. If we want to get to the Promised Land, we want to hit the home run, we have to go through the Midbar, and without getting stuck in the traps. So what are those traps in today's society? So the first trap is thinking that the world is big. The same way then the Midbar was big, thinking the world is big. It's such a big world out there. What are we? We're the Jewish people. We're nothing. There's so much. Just go out there and you'll see there's a huge world out there. And that's the first step before we get to a Midbar trap, thinking that the world is big and I'm small. Second step is thinking that it's awesome. Not only is it big, but it's awesome. What's the difference between big and awesome? So when I say something's big, it means it's big, but I'm also here. I'm not as big as that, but I'm also here. When something is awesome, I'm like, no, I'm out of the equation. I don't even matter anymore. I don't exist. It's just all that. Awesome is I feel intimidated by its presence. I don't even feel my existence anymore. That's a second step in the Midbar. When I feel the world, not only is the world big, and the secular world big, and the world out there is so big compared to me, but it completely nullifies me. I don't even, me as a Jew, as Turk, it's just nullified. It doesn't even matter. That is a second step of falling into the desert mentality. The third step is once we're completely intimidated by the outside world, we feel the entire world is all that, and this little Jewish community is nothing, then come the snakes. So the first snake is a snake bite. The snake bite comes and bites you and tells you, instead of being excited about davening, excited about Shabbos, excited about giving tzedakah, excited about having a relationship with God, reaching your spiritual potential, get excited about having fun, about parties, about girls, about drugs. You know, it gives you, it fires you up for physical pleasures instead of spiritual pleasures. That's a snake bite. Then after the snake bite, we get a serpent bite. The serpent gives an even more hot bite. It bites even hotter, and that represents the idea of just burning up an entire desire for spirituality. Once we get into that world, we're just purely into indulgence and finding pleasuring ourselves and experiencing fun, then our desire for spirituality gets burnt up. Then comes a scorpion. Now the scorpion gives a cold bite. Unlike the snakes and serpents who give a hot bite, you get bitten by its heat. The scorpion cools you down. Its pain comes with coldness. That represents, at that point, we get this cold feeling for anything Jewish. You know, Shabbos, putting on tefillin, keeping kosher, that's not relevant to me. It doesn't matter to me. We get complete disconnected, cold. That is the next step of today's desert symptoms. And we get the scorpion bite. That's cold. Then the final step that the Torah mentions about the desert is that there is a thirst and there's no water. What does that mean? So when a person's fallen into these 5 levels of the midbar, and he's gotten so deep, suddenly he gets thirsty. The same way when we're out on a hot day, you're going to get thirsty, you need a drink. But we know what that thirst means. We know what we need to do to remove that thirst. But when a person's spiritually thirsty, not necessarily is he really aware of where the thirst is coming from. Sometimes we get a wake up, we feel depressed, we feel empty, we feel lost, we feel like there's no point to this world, we feel depressed. That level of depression that we're feeling, that we're experiencing, is the soul's thirst. It's the soul's yearning for nutrition, to be hydrated. It wants to be hydrated with Torah, hydrated with spirituality. That's what it's looking for. It's looking for hydration. But we don't recognize what it is because it's a thirst when there's no water. We feel the thirst. We feel that yearning. We feel deep inside that we're missing something. We're lacking something very important for us, but we can't put our finger on it because we've strayed so far that we've forgotten the way home and we're lost. And that's the final step when we're just out there and we end up, instead of turning to hydration, we turn to toxic forms of numbing that thirst. Like imagine a person is really thirsty and instead of drinking water, he drinks a cup of vodka. Oh yeah, this will help my thirst. He drinks a cup of vodka, but even though it looks like water and he thinks it's going to help him, but actually it's going to make it even worse.
And you have the nation of Russia.
Right, so that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But the point is that sometimes you can do something which looks like it's going to help you, but actually makes it worse. So that vodka is going to dehydrate you even more, and you're going to be even more dehydrated. So that's what it means when in the midbar where there's no water, that we don't even know where to turn to, how to get back to the source, how to get back to who we are, how to reconnect with ourselves. And that's why the Torah tells us we got to really keep in mind that even though we're only 10% of 1% of the universe, of the world, we only make about 1/10% of society. Nonetheless, we are Hashem's chosen people. Don't be intimidated by the great world out there, because they're all there to serve us. We're not there for them. And if you look at the world around us, you look at in every single industry, it's dominated by the world. It's dominated by Israel. Look at Israel, a tiny little country, and how it's a superpower in technology and in medicine and in science. And any field you find, the Jewish people are dominating. We don't even make it 1% of the world, yet we dominate every area because we are something special about the Jewish people. We're Hashem's chosen people. But we've got to take that chosenness and remember that it's not because of our own greatness that makes us good. It's not accidental that the Jewish people dominate every industry. It's not because we happen to be smarter. It's not because we happen to be more business savvy. It's because we are special. We're chosen people. And then whatever we do, we will make it to the top in it. And that's what we have to remember. Don't get intimidated by the world. Maybe they're bigger in numbers, but they're not bigger in power. We have to be a light to them, not let them be a light upon us. As long as we remember all the time that everything that we have comes from Hashem, and Hashem chose us to be His chosen people, then that's the best protection to secure us from falling into the desert mentality. And it's also the best protection to ensure that we get into Israel this final time. Because just like they had to get through the desert back then to get to Israel, we have to get through this desert right now. We have to overcome these challenges to get to Israel this time. And this time will be eternal, because this time we're going to build the third base of Mikdash, which will be there forever. So good Shabbos, guys. Thanks for tuning in, my very, very reliable friends. And wishing you all lots of success and blessings. And let's remember, rely on Hashem and you'll have whatever you need. Rely on ourselves, rely on the outside world, it's dangerous.
Amen.